Praise be Jesus Christ, now and forever. My friends, on this third Sunday of Lent, we come to these beautiful readings that the church provides for us, beginning with the first reading, the book of Exodus, the third chapter. Bishop Barron calls this particular passage the most important passage in the entire Bible. And why does he say that? Because here, God identifies himself. He shares, in a way, the name that is his. But we begin with the story here of Moses. And what we know about Moses is the fact that he was an aristocrat. He was born in slavery as part of the Jewish people who were slaves of the Egyptians, but he was found by Pharaoh's daughter and therefore raised in the court of the Pharaoh. He was used to the finer things of life. But he had a heart that was perhaps a bit emotional when he went out visiting his people and one of them was being harassed and beaten up by an Egyptian. He slew the Egyptian, and of course it was found out and he had to leave the country. And so he goes into the desert. And like so many of the figures in the Bible, those who are being prepared for a work of God must first of all suffer and kind of through self-introspection kind of weed out those things that are standing in the way for God to accomplish his purpose through them. And so, in a sense, this aristocrat who now becomes a shepherd in the Sinai Peninsula, really nothing kind of a job, is spending this time, in a sense, to be purified in a way that the Lord can appear to him. And that's where we pick up the story here today. Moses, shepherding the flocks, sees a bush on fire, but it is not being burned. And of course, he's still an aristocrat in some ways. He says, I have to go over and check this out. I have to see what's happening here. And as he draws closer, he gets called by the Lord. Moses, Moses. So this Lord, this God, is somebody who's very close, very intimate. He knows this poor shepherd's name in the Sinai Peninsula. And so Moses answers him, but then God says to him, come no nearer. Remove the sandals from your feet, for the place where you stand is holy ground. And so there's a little bit of a barrier now. God is alerting Moses that he is entering a sacred, holy place and that he must come humbly. That Moses is not in charge here. God is in charge here. When we have sandals or shoes on our feet, we can walk anywhere that we want to walk. We can walk over rocky ground and terrain and all those kinds of things. In a sense, we're in control. So the removing of the sandals is a sign of the Lord to Moses, you're not in charge here. You need to stand humbly before me. And so there's two dynamics that are being revealed here by God. First and foremost, he is closer to us than we are to ourselves. St. Augustine tells us that God is closer to us than we are to ourselves. He is that intimately connected with us. But also, he is the transcendent, all-powerful one who has created the heavens and the earth and everything that the universe contains, and each and every one of us. And therefore, he's not simply one other being in this created world. He's beyond this world. He is the all-powerful one, the one who is the source of being itself, because nothing exists without God bringing it into existence, but also God continues to hold it in existence. God continuously, by his power, creates and recreates and holds each and every one of us and everything that we look at in the world in being. He is the source of being itself. And so he is indeed the transcendent one. But then God, once again, kind of comes back to that intimacy with Moses. He talks about that he is the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, that he's witnessed the affliction of his people, and he's heard their cry. He has come to save them. Now just imagine, there was probably no poorer, less influential group of people in all of the land and all of the Middle East at that time than the Jewish people who were slaves of the Egyptians. There was no reason to come except that he is their God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and he promised he would lead them into the promised land. And so he comes. He comes in his power. He comes intimately. He comes as the Lord. And so Moses, once again, kind of sensing the closeness of God, the intimacy of God, asks a very natural question. Obviously, you are God, and you know me, and you know my ancestors, and you know this people that you want me to go and lead out of Egypt. So when they ask me who you are, what is your name, what am I to tell them? And that's the one thing God can't do, one thing God won't do, because he's not one being among many beings. And so when we hear the response of God, I am who am, it's puzzling until we understand that he is the one who is the source of all being. He is not one being among others. He's not the supreme being, although we call him that. He is the one who is closer to us than we are to ourselves, the one who is all-powerful and transcendent and holds everything and all of us in existence, even at this very moment. That's the God of the Bible. This is not some God from Roman mythology or Greek mythology. All those gods, whenever they came into this world, they obliterated something. Their impact upon the world was devastation because they were in competition with human beings. And so when they came into the human world, something had to give. That's not the way with the God that we worship, the God of the Scriptures. The God whose fire came out of that bush without burning that bush, but enlightened it and made it more radiant. You see, when we surrender our will to God, we place ourselves humbly into his hands and follow his commandments, he draws closer to us. He inflames us with his fire. It doesn't destroy us. It makes us more than we are. His light shines within and through us. It radiates to others. And I would suggest that our gospel passage today, where Jesus speaks about those various things that have gone on, but is calling people to repentance, to all of his listeners, all of us to repentance. And the fact that the story about the fig tree is the fact that we are that fig tree. The gardener wants to give us a little bit more time, and that God's patience is a sign of his giving us a little bit more time. But there is a limited time. Repentance needs to happen now. Our response to God and his initiation and his initiatives to love us and to become the fire within us is now. This is the acceptable time. This is the time and moment of salvation. May we embrace and worship this God who is as closer to us than we are to ourselves, and yet transcendent and all-powerful. The God who wants to fire us with his love, to transform us by his love. May we embrace him today and every day.